All right.
And Mark, you can start being recorded. Yep.
All right. So here we go. Welcome to the PEG Center's Rockwell Museum event. We're here to discuss the Alley Art Project, Heroes student exhibition that was on display at the museum this past summer and which has traveled to the PEG Center for our fall exhibition called Heroes Among Us. So joining us tonight are some of the masterminds behind this fantastic. We are delighted to host this conversation about the power of public art and youth involvement. That's very exciting to me. It seems to have amplified layer upon layer of the community of Corning's experiences, strengths, and hopes, and turned it into venues for dialogue and support and understanding. It's really an extraordinary thing to witness. So tonight, we're going to focus on their most recent art and mural project. Our guests tonight are Amy Ruza, the Rockwell's Youth and Family Programs Director, teaching mural artist Sarah C. Rutherford, lead teacher David Quackenbush, and two of the contributing youth artists, Grayson Perry and Salem Estrada. We welcome to you all. Thank you so much for being here. So tonight's program is going to consist of a short video followed by some moderated questions with our guest speakers, followed by a time for your questions, which we encourage you to put into the chat. And again, we thank you for being here. The PEG Center is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to amplify the challenges around human rights, climate justice, and social justice through education, art, and activism. We welcome and depend on your support, so please visit our website if you are so inclined, and Julie can put that into our chat. So the Alley Art Project, I'm just going to read a little bit from the proposal that Amy sent to me before we start the video. The Alley Art Project is a result of a special collaboration between the Rockwell Museum, the High School Learning Center of the Corning Painted Post Area School District, and SUNY Corning Community College. So each year, students create individual works of art that evolve into elements of a larger mural design to be painted in the Corning community. Students earn arts credits and community service hours toward their high school diploma or college transcript during the time spent with the Rockwell educators. The Alley Art Project supports students through the vigorous process of designing and producing public art, which it surely is, while cultivating a sense of pride and ownership in the community. So we are about to see a 6-minute video that is so celebratory about the Alley Art Project and its 15th project year. So Amy, go right ahead. Thank you.
I think more than anything, public art has the ability to show care for a community.
It's really encouraging as a young person to see a direct impact on your community.
I think the community loves them.
It makes the whole atmosphere of Corning so much better.
It just feels good to be a part of something that's going to be here forever.
It's a great way to help the community and express ourselves.
There's a whole story in every single mural that's made. I'm glad to be a part of that.
Public art becomes an extension of what the museum is trying to do. Folks just feel like, you know, sometimes the museums are for the elite, and you take it out onto the streets and it becomes a whole different story.
I think it's very important that we think about not just what the art looks like, but what perspective is represented, what story is being told.
The Alley Art Project utilizes the Rockwell Museum collection as the source of inspiration for every mural project. We work in collaboration with the High School Learning Center of the Corning Painted Post Area School District, as well as Corning Community College now, giving students the opportunity to share their stories and their ideas, bringing the art from the museum to the street and into public spaces.
It's been such a meaningful partnership, helping students explore their identity, giving the opportunity for them to work with world-class artists.
I love mural work because it's extremely accessible. It brings artwork out of, four walls of a gallery or museum, and it brings it into the public space. People engage with it that may not otherwise visit those spaces or feel that they're for them.
I think that how we're considering public art in Corning in our region is really evolving. We're at a moment where we are seeing the impact of 15 amazing murals. There are aspects of our community that didn't have a role, that didn't have power, that didn't have a place when these communities were established. And now we have the opportunity to scaffold and layer on new perspectives that are more reflective of who we are and brings the stories and experiences of our students directly into dialogue with the rest of the community.
We work with artists to select artwork connected to the Rockwell's annual theme.
Jokingly, I say that the Martine piece chose me, so I was extremely drawn to it. I also loved that it was a self-portrait. I thought of that in terms of working with the youth, getting to explore their own identities. It felt really powerful to choose that piece. I think self-worth was a huge component this year and something that a lot of the students explored. I think it's something that Salem exemplifies, how to love yourself and therefore love others.
I think Salem is a really great person to have representing the mural. He is the perfect person to represent being kind even when you're somebody who stands out to be like put down.
I think that so many people my age or people younger just feel as though that they don't have a voice or a say in things. It's really important for us to have youth voices and youth heroes to show that, you're not alone.
It's something I've always wanted to do, like come out of my shell, become a part of the community. It's been made really easy with this project.
I'm glad to get out here, be a part of a community that accepts and loves, lets them express themselves freely and shares that love and that joy for art in any form with everybody.
Art, personally, to me, is my therapy. When I'm having a bad day, I will go walk Art History and look at all the murals. I'm a part of it now, so that's amazing.
It brightens our community in a positive way when the community sees us out here working together as a team.
I just love being able to paint and have this impact on other people. I think it's inspiring as well to young artists. It just connects us all as a community.
And you realize that you can contribute to your community in positive ways. It's an expression of all the individuals who put their time into it, but it's also an expression of this community's commitment to art and to vibrance and to the youth.
What's so exciting about the Alley Art Project is the process that has been created around it. Even if the murals fade, that doesn't change the experience of the people who made them had.
It doesn't matter what part of the project you've participated in. Just being in a community where there is public art, it's transformative.
It's really exciting to be able to collaborate with these students and bring out their thoughts and their feelings and put it onto a wall and share it here in Corning.
I've never really been a part of something this big.
It's new for a lot of us to have things that we've made be actually important.
It makes me feel like we're all one team, in the community.
I'm just really proud, really, really proud of my community.
Art transforms the community. The Alley Art Project is continuing to transform the cultural and architectural landscape where we live.
Sometimes we think it's hard to measure the impact of public art in the community, but in Corning, with the addition of 15 murals, it's really easy to see.
Wow, that is so fantastic. What a beautiful video that is. So we are going to start our conversation tonight actually with you, Amy, and I'm just going to introduce you very quickly. So besides being a museum director, Amy is also a glass and sculpture artist, which I just found out, and a person who is passionate about the arts, community relationship building, obviously, and public art. She's obviously one of the masterminds behind the Alley Art Project. So I thought I would start by just asking you, Amy, about the backstory of this project, because when I looked at the proposal and saw the timeline, it was really so short. I could not believe how quickly the actual project itself got done, from the painting aspect to the reveal. So could you sort of briefly describe the various moving parts that were involved in this project?
Sure. Hello, and thanks so much for having me. So I want to share briefly also about the evolution of the program, because we're celebrating the 15th anniversary. So I think, reflecting back how the process now, it's year one. I know we've developed many relationships with our community, and it is really built on the collaboration with artists, the High School Learning Center of the Corning Paine and Post Area School District. It was established with the High School Learning Center, and then 2 years ago, it expanded to now include SUNY Corning Community College. So it's built on these relationships, and it's very unique because we leverage and use the Rockwell's collection as the source of inspiration for every mural project. So while the painting does seem short, while we were able to actually be on the ground and paint in less than 2 weeks, the planning process actually takes more than a year. If you think about the funding aspect and writing grants and planning, we connect to the Rockwell Museum's annual theme as well. And so our 2023 annual theme at the museum is Heroes. So that was our starting point. We put an RFQ out into the world. I was able to connect. We selected Sarah Rutherford as our guest artist. And Sarah and I were actually in communication about a year in advance of the painting. So it does take time for the planning and the process, and all that planning helps to be able to paint in a short time frame. And then after we have the idea of the theme, I work with the artist. This year's what for 2023 with Sarah Rutherford. We select the artwork, and the artwork we selected was artist Martine Gutierrez, whose artwork is in our collection. And that is the source of inspiration. We then develop a lesson plan, and there's that mural design course, which takes place in the winter and spring months. So that is a long several month course where students, high school and college, participate. And it is through that design course where I work with Sarah, who's the lead artist, has the vision. And also we worked with Professor Hiram Cray at CCC and students, giving students the opportunity to create their own art, reflect on the work, talk about ideas of heroes, and then come together as a group through discussion to think about what are the ideas that we want represented in the community? What do we want to say? What are the voices that we want to share? What's important and what's relevant in our community right now? So that's sort of the process. And I can talk specifically about this year's program too, but leading into that process, then we have the mural design review approval, and we have a student exhibition celebrating the students' art. And then also we unveil the design that's going to be painted, and that happens several months prior to the painting. Right. So there's a lot of build up and momentum going, and then there's lots of materials and wall prep. There's lots of communication between business owners and the city, and then we are finally on the ground painting. So there's a lot leading up to that, and then it's many hours every day painting, and we culminate in a ribbon cutting ceremony. And even after it happens, it's still happening because we're still talking about it. We're still having conversations. We're still connecting with the community. I'm still in touch with Salem, who's one of the students. So it keeps momentum moving forward for how we're continuing to build relationships and transform our community.
You know what I love about it too is the thoughtfulness of the process, that it starts, you know, it has many moving parts, but that part of the voice are youth pieces, youth art pieces that then the visiting artist or the mural artist incorporates into the mural itself. I think it's a very thoughtful process that must, you know, really engage so much of the community. And you know, I know that you've been at the Rockwell for about 10 years now, so you came after a few had already been done, but you know, was it always well received? Was it always easy to accomplish, or did you have some hills and mountains to climb to get this, you know, accepted? 15 murals in a city is a lot. That's a lot of real estate, you know? So talk about that if you would.
Yeah, I think you know, it's a big accomplishment, but every year there's different challenges with the, you know, every year no 2 years are ever the same. And I'll mention Gigi Alvarez. She's the former director of education, and she's actually the one who really founded the Alley Art Project. And I know she worked with Dave Quackenbush because this was before my tenure at the Rockwell. And Gigi and the had already had this relationship with the High School Learning Center, and there was already programming in place with students. And then there was a connection and many discussions with the community about how to create murals. And I know that the first mural took 2 years to review, approve, and the process, and we're still learning throughout. So it took several years, and now we kind of have the timeline mapped out a little bit more, but there's always stuff that comes up. So I think one of the lessons is being flexible, putting trust in people, trusting the artists that you're working with, putting trust in students. And I think that that's a key aspect. I also think the murals, as part of a Rockwell Museum program, it allows the museum to demonstrate the role that a museum can play to make the arts accessible, because we're bringing the art out into the streets, into public spaces, making it, available to everybody just walking down the street outside. So while we invite people to come into the museum, not everybody does, and this is a way for us to share the art with everyone.
So Amy, did part of the funding, or does part of the funding come from businesses, or is it all grant, or does the museum foot the bill, or how does the funding aspect work?
There's many layers to supporting a mural project. We do write grants. There have been some programs that have been funded by the National Endowment for the Arts. We also, this year's project was funded by the Triangle Fund, the Community Foundation of Elmira Corning and the Finger Lakes, Guthrie, which is our local hospital. So it differs from year to year. We have some long time sponsors and funders, but it really does involve building relationships with people. There's a lot that the Rockwell staff puts into it. It's just many, and of course the businesses, we really do rely on the businesses to provide the canvases in our community, and there's a lot that they provide and support as far as preparing the site and the wall and power washing. Those are really vital as well. And the school district, I mean, we have the support from the school district, of course, which we couldn't do without them. Their staff is with us 100% of the time during the mural design course, on-site painting. So I think having that really close relationship with our local school district really makes it possible each year.
So are civic leaders involved in the decision making of where or how many, or is it a relationship between you all and the actual owners of the canvas, so to speak, as you said? Does the mayor have to approve, the city council, or I'm not sure what your governing body is, but
it's different depending on the site for each mural. Of course, we always work with the business owner. We do have a close relationship with the city of Corning as well. So it just really depends on where the mural is located from year to year. But everyone who's involved with that particular year's mural is involved with the process, because it's better. We find that involving everyone throughout the process makes everyone a stakeholder in it, and they feel ownership in it, and it just it has this investment, and there is civic engagement. And so thinking about leaders in the community, I like to think that there's many of us who are leaders in the community. I think of the students as leaders. I think the artists as leaders. So there's many leaders who contribute in different ways.
Yeah. And so finally, I know you can't answer this for us, but we don't have a museum in Newburyport, but we do have artists. We do have walls. We have a lot of youth artists, and I wonder if you just had a little bit of advice for a community like ours, for sort of getting this going a little bit. Maybe the Peg Center can be like, the example of the Rockwell Museum, although we're not at all, but maybe we could start the voice. We could be the voice.
Yeah, I think it's building relationships again with the students, with the schools, and I think especially when you're starting out with public art, I think flexibility and patience are key. Not making assumptions. You think something might go one way, you have ideas for a vision, and allowing others to have input and say, and being flexible to shift your vision, because it'll end up being better than what you originally thought. And people will surprise you too. So I think those are really all important elements when working with the community, and really it's collaboration. I think collaboration is the underlying element between it all.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to turn now to somebody who's, really, really familiar with collaboration and relationships, which is Sarah Rutherford, the artist. So, teaching mural artist. So, just a little bit about Sarah. For 15 years, Sarah has been working in the Rochester, New York area as a muralist, painter, educator, and community-based artist. She is co-founder of the Yards Collaborative Art Space, Rock Paint, Rochester's city-funded youth mural arts employment program, which sounds so intriguing, and recently received funding to expand her multifaceted public arts project, Stories of Strength, which engages with survivors of domestic violence. So I wanted to start, Sarah, with you by thanking you for being here. And it's just a pleasure to talk to you about this year's inspiration from the Rockwell collection. So, and how Salem's image was chosen as the central figure of the mural. So if you could talk us through some of that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I joke in the video. First of all, thanks for having me. But yeah, I joke in the video that the Martine piece chose me, and I really do. That was my experience visiting the museum. I walked through everything, looked at everything, and just her gaze followed me around the entire museum, and just how contemporary, how, I don't know, just how powerful that image was. It felt like it would really resonate working with youth. Also having the theme of exploring their own identities and, the multiple layers of identity, I felt like a really great entry point for youth. And in terms of the choice to feature Salem, I knew going into this project that I wanted a youth voice to be represented on the mural with the theme of heroes. I think often youth get overlooked, and I think they are heroes in our community as well. So I really wanted that to be a focus. However, we as a group of students, the students voted on who was going to be featured on the wall. So that was a unanimous vote for Salem to be featured. As kind of the representative of that youth voice on that wall.
Nice. So it's obvious that you're involved in a lot of really important things, community activist and artist oriented. And I just wanted to ask you about your own personal mission as an artist and sort of what got you into public art. Have you always been a public art artist? And kind of what your personal mission is?
Yeah, I started in public art about 15 years ago, and through a local mural festival that was here in Rochester called Wall Therapy. And it was, I think it's third year, and they invited local artists as well as international artists to be part of it. And so it was my first outdoor mural. And I remember when I was painting that first stroke on a boom lift, and it was 2 stories, I was like, oh, I found my calling. This has always been my calling. I had always painted really large. I'd always painted people, and I would do these paintings, put them in a gallery. People would come look for 5-10 minutes. It would be the same audiences, and I just would leave feeling so like just questioning what is the point, and yeah, I just love that art in the public space can be owned by those who walk by it. It's not about one person taking it into their home and that's who gets to see it. Yeah. And then this journey of being a muralist and a public artist has really taken me into so many different communities, so many different spaces. So I feel really blessed and grateful for all the lessons I've learned through that process. And I think within my work, I am constantly thinking about the voices that need to be elevated, and that kind of has been a thread through all of my work and continues to be a thread in the work I'm doing now.
I remember when we first met on Zoom, you said art doesn't change the world, but communities do. And that really stuck with me. So, and I can imagine that the process of creating the drawing for the mural Heroes must have been pretty amazing and daunting, and then it has to be brought to other people for their approval and input, or is there input? Is it really just a yes or no after you show the drawing? And it must have been really incredibly difficult to take all of the student art and conceptualize it into such a magnificent piece of work?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of themes that I also saw as students were working together in this space that carried between artworks and between students. So I think that was also cool to be able to incorporate some of those images. Like if you see in some of their individual works, there's imagery around like day and night, the sun, moon, these idea of transitions. So that became kind of a central piece of the sketch. This process didn't feel as hard as some others. And I think part of that was because we did the mural design class and it was for such a long period of time that I got to know everyone, got to know their art style. And yeah, so bringing it together felt pretty fluid. Other times I think it has been more challenging, dependent, but yeah.
Did you literally, block colors out for the painters to follow?
For the installation?
For the actual mural? Yeah.
So I did the sketch on the wall and then, worked with students to fill in different areas. And then we tried to also get into some shading and some other kind of techniques, that were important as well. So yeah, and it was cool to have some students that were part of the mural design class be part of that as well, part of the mural installation. So yeah.
I assume this is an application process that artists have to go through, mural artists have to go through for the Rockwell. Is that, did you write a proposal or a grant? Or Amy has her hand up. Go right ahead, Amy.
Yeah. So we started doing an RFQ process, not a proposal, which is the request for qualification, where artists, and I keep it very short, where artists just submit their information and just examples of past work. We don't ask artists to create a proposal for something if we don't know if we're going to select them. And also that's not part of this program because we don't want to make artists do work without paying them for their expertise. So based on their sort of portfolio of what they've done, and we put a few questions in there asking about their teaching experience, then we go from there.
Yeah, perfect.
That is always like one of the most challenging pieces is when people put a request for proposals out and it's a community-based project because you don't know the community yet. So how are you going to come up with a proposal? I see that a lot. And I think that's one of the biggest, honestly, I don't apply for them because it just doesn't make sense to me. So, for the Rockwell, that RFQ was a reason why I applied. So,
I just, in sort of conclusion, I just feel that public art and mural art is so relational, so much more relational than us in our studios creating pieces of work by ourselves that are shown. I mean, you must have a hell of a portfolio of relationships from all the public art that you do, including the ones in Corning, New York. I assume that you'll stay in touch with them somehow, or is that true?
Yeah, I feel that, and I feel deeply like impacted by those that I work with. And I will say that this project was really special. So I also want to just call that out. And again, because of the depth of these relationships, because of the, just the structure of the program, there was so much built into it that I could focus on the relationships. And they were truly, truly powerful. So yeah, I stopped by recently in Corning and I'm going to try and make it back for the opening that they're having at the museum. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much, darling. We'll move on and then come back to you. How's that? So we are going to turn now to the head teacher, Dave Quackenbush. Thank you for being here. And I've got a little background material before I ask you some questions, David. First, a little bit of background about the High School Learning Center, which is a collaborative effort among the Corning Painted Post School District, Corning Community College, the local business community, local museums, and area not-for-profit organizations. So, Dave, you are the lead teacher at that school and helped found it in 2002, which is a long time ago. You've been at this. It says here that Dave credits the school district for recognizing that very capable students were dropping out of school. And I quote, "Life isn't easy for people out of school, let alone in school," Quackenbush said on an interview. "We knew there were some great humans out there that just weren't getting connected like they needed to in regular school." Dave says the key is creating a safe environment and individual attention. Day after day, I love this. Day after day, I am in awe of the students because I don't know if I would have the fortitude to make the choices they did to turn their lives around, which is a beautiful thing. So to date, over 150 local and regional businesses have partnered with the HSLC to offer students jobs, and students have performed 20,000 hours of community service since the school began. I mean, those are incredible metrics, enormous numbers. So, um, it's such an exciting and effective model. I wonder if you could tell us what a lead teacher looks like at HSLC generally.
Well, I'm certainly not a normal teacher. So this was a perfect school for me. I taught in the regular school for a few years before I had the opportunity to help design this school, and then fortunately invited to teach here. And so, yeah, as you can tell already, and you've heard it from Amy too, there are just so many connections that are involved throughout this whole thing, and that's really what our school is all about. So we're taking students who might feel forgotten, who might have been overlooked. Something has thrown them off track, and now they have applied to come here to this community-based school where we're going to provide them with all sorts of connections. And so my day as a teacher, I'm a history teacher, and I spend about 2.5 hours a day doing that. And the rest of the time, our students are employed or doing internships throughout the community. So I supervise those. All of our students get all of their art credit through partnerships with the Rockwell Museum or the Corning Museum of Glass Studio. So a lot of it is arranging and setting up classes and making sure that everything is supervised and populated. And then our students are required to do 10 hours of community service each trimester. So at least 30 hours a year. And that becomes a job all in itself, and just helping to coordinate that. And as a result, though, we have a lot of community groups that look to us because they know our students are going to be reliable and respectful and show up. And that's what we expect. It's not a traditional kind of school where, it's a dollar. No student has ever been sent to the high school learning center. Everybody who is here because they've demonstrated they want what we have to offer, not just that they want to get away from the regular school.
Yeah.
And that level of commitment is just obvious. And we really work hard to create a culture of respect.
And it's a rigorous application process, from what I understand.
Yeah, students have to advocate for themselves, write their own letters, collect letters. It's almost like applying for a job. And then they sit down in an interview with all of the staff, and their goal is to convince us that they're committed to what we have to offer.
Yeah. David, how hands-on were you with the Alley Art project, or are you generally?
Well, it's on and off. I've actually participated in several of the design classes along with the students, but I also like to give the staff members here a chance to experience that too. Some of my happiest times are during Alley Art design class, when I can just forget everything and go create for a couple of hours. And so I really want the staff here to see the value in that, but it also gives them a chance to work side by side with our students and get to know them a little better and appreciate all that they do to create and express themselves.
So in one of the pieces that I read biographically about you, you said that the students are creating new futures for themselves. And I wonder if you could speak about that, because it's just a beautiful way of describing intentionality about our lives. So
yeah, we're a very inside out kind of school. So every opportunity and experience that we can offer our students, we're enlightening them, we're empowering them, we're giving them a chance to take control of their lives. And maybe, we expose them to something they've never that they didn't realize was so powerful, like the power of public art, or just art and helping establish an identity of their own. yeah, so just lots of chances, but we set the table, and then hopefully they come eat heartily and leave, um, energized for life.
How big is HSLC? How big a school is it?
We have a maximum of 40 students, and we have
Oh,
6
that's
staff
lovely.
members. Yeah, so it's impossible to fall through the cracks here. Everyone gets the attention that they need and deserve.
I went to a high school with 40 kids in my class, and it was just extraordinary. It really, I mean, having come from public school, it was really an extraordinary experience. Well, I commend you so much on what you are. You're watering the garden in a very beautiful way for a lot of people, and I bet families really appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks, and thank you for recognizing this good thing we've got here in our community.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, so we are going to turn now. We're going to show a brief PowerPoint, Salem, before we start talking, and to Grayson as well. And this PowerPoint is very, very short, but it shows you what's the youth art here at the PEG Center. So I'm going to ask Mark to do that. Mark is actually here. He is okay.
Always something, huh?
Sometimes you have to go back, and
Yeah, I'm gonna reboot it. Yeah,
re-ask.
I'm gonna. Here we go.
Yeah. This is what it looks like, Salem and Grayson and Sophie. Love your beautiful work. That's Salem's piece. Remember it as we talk, and this is Grayson's piece. Thank you so much, Mark. So welcome to both Grayson, who I understand is with David. Is that true? You are
In the
muted.
meantime, I had Grayson go ahead and register because I realized that their name would not be shown under their image for this. So, and then Grayson.
We're going to start with Salem, but I don't see her on the call.
Okay, so Grayson might be coming back, and it just won't look like.
I see Grayson. Grayson's on right there. Grayson has Sophie's name tag.
I'm not sure why. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Grayson, for being here.
And I'm so
Thank
glad
you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
here. Really nice. So, I actually am going to start with you and recognize that your piece that we have here is called Observer, and for the audience, just to say what you wrote about it. It says, life keeps moving with or without you. To me, my portrait means finding the strength within you to keep going, practicing gratitude, practicing empathy, and acquiring new knowledge every day. So I wonder if you could speak about some of the references in your collage and what design elements from your piece worked themselves into the collage, because I love the it feels very organic, it feels very nature oriented. Can you talk about what your references were, and did you write the piece that goes along with your art?
I did, yes. So the references I used when we were looking around the Rockwell and we were shown Martine's painting, I took a lot from it about gender expression. And so a lot of the elements of my piece have to do with women. And obviously, you can see that I mostly use depictions of women and depictions of life. So I think the references that I used were from Martine, just how they express their gender in their painting, and I kind of saw an element of anger in their painting. Sorry, I'm not sure of who they are really, but um, so I think the materials we used, there wasn't really set materials. It was just magazines that I had picked up and I looked for. Yes, so I used a lot of pictures of women because I wanted to depict how women are born with pain and they're born with this sadness and all of these things in life that they have to endure. And Martine, as a trans individual, I thought that that element of being a woman and expressing Martine's gender, I really wanted to encapsulate that in my portrait and kind of just how I see all of this and my
So I
perception
love,
of.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I love the grass like around the frame. Can you talk about that and why you chose that?
I wanted to use a lot of elements of like earth because I see Mother Nature as a very like feminine being, and I guess I just wanted to add as much earth aspects as I could.
You know, the subject is difficult, but your execution is gentle and soft. And I feel when I look at this piece, which I do every day, that there's so much compassion in your piece. And I think it's compassion for the world that I see in this piece of yours.
I have a lot of compassion and empathy for people, and I think I've noticed throughout my life that I really I look up to, and I feel so personally about the women in my life and the struggles that they've been through, and just looking through those magazines and looking for pieces to add to my painting, I saw a lot of like women suffering in them, especially with the aspects of uh like birthing children and having to deal with just the pain of being a woman that you're born with that others don't have to experience. And it's just something so personal to me and something that I feel so strongly.
You know, when we had our opening reception for Heroes Among Us, there were two people that, you know, we have your work in what's called the sitting gallery. It's slightly, you know, it's a more intimate space. People, there are couches here, and two different people literally started crying when they saw your work. So what you are expressing is working. It's deeply personal, and yet it is touching, you know, other people. I just want you to know that. And
Thank
you
you.
know, how did it feel to you to have your work come all the way here? It's our first traveling youth exhibition. Amy and I were very excited about that aspect. How did you feel about having your piece come to Massachusetts?
It was so surreal, I think, because I remember Dave telling me quite a while ago, but I I honestly didn't really remember that it was in Massachusetts. So when he told me yesterday, I was just like so bewildered again.
It's pretty cool. So thank you, and hang on because we'll have other people asking you questions as well. But so Salem, your face, you know, 8 feet, 6 feet, that's a lot of face in Corning, New York. So you know, the nomination process was very democratic. It sounded like it went through many different levels, but so how does it feel? I mean, it's a big question and it's probably hard to answer, but how do you feel about it?
Oh man, every time I get asked this, my feelings are always still so abstract. And the only one I can ever gauge is just how grateful I am for it. Um, To be recognized as someone who's a hero to others, that's something I would have never like guessed that I would have been nominated for, or I don't know. It's amazing. It's crazy to know that I have such an impact on other people. Such a positive impact at that.
Beautiful. So your piece is called Sweet Transvestite. It's incredibly powerful. I'll show it in just a second. But we'd love to hear your thoughts about the making of it. Was it challenging? Did it ask you to dive deep? Was it a hard piece to make?
So I'm someone who I like to think that I know myself quite well. I am. It was also another way to express my gender because we did do a piece based on, or we did do these pieces based on another transgender artist, and it was also like a statement of how I experience gender and trans being transgender as a whole. Um, I am quite literally making a man right next to me. The skeleton with the record for the head and all of the pieces put together, that was very much a statement of me making myself the man that I want to be. Um, it was a pretty challenging piece in the
Yeah.
end. I am digging deep into my gender expression, especially because even though want to very badly be a man and I have been, taking the steps to do so medically, I still express my gender very like feminine or like gender non-conforming, and that's important for me as a person to be comfortable with myself and both of the contradicting genders that exist within me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I'd like to read your statement on the piece. Maybe the rain really isn't to blame. Allow the peace, Peace, to be who you are fully. Allow yourself the space to directly contradict yourself. With your left hand, lead with patience, and with your right, lead with love. If you allow your heart and mind to remain open, the doors of the universe will forever remain open to you. Did you write that?
I did.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And could you elaborate just a little bit on it? And, I'm going to ask, is it all right to ask a personal question?
Yeah, of course.
I just wonder, is your family with you? Did they love the mural? Did they
They did.
participate in this?
So I brought my brother to several painting sessions, and him and I both have handprints both in the bottom right corner, like close to the grass. We just wanted something that would kind of like memorialize it, I guess. Um, yeah, they were so excited and so happy about the mural happening. I had family down in Rhode Island saying like, "Oh my gosh, I miss you so much. I'm so proud of you. This is beautiful. I would have never guessed," like and like all of that kind of stuff. Um, my family's pretty close with each other. There may be times where, things get crazy, but we're very close with each other and we love each other a lot.
Nice.
As for the quote itself, I wrote it because that is very much how I feel about the world. Um, I'm very open-minded and I'm like very forgiving, very open. When people ask me, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm always the first person to be like, "Yes, I can absolutely do that, and I will make it happen any kind of way, any way I can." Um, and that's just something that is so important to me, being there for other people. I feel like in doing so, that has opened so many doors for me, and I just hope that other people understand that they can do that too. Being kind and being there for someone it costs nothing, and it opens so many doors for you.
Mm. I'm just incredibly moved by the whole thing. I hope that you all are so proud of yourselves. In just the community and just what you've done is really, really important. Amy and David and Sarah, and Salem, and Grayson. It's been such a pleasure to be with you. And, I just respect and admire all of it. And I think, we're such a small group. We could just all unmute and or if you have anything you want to say to these beautiful people or anything at all in our little bit together. I see my cohort Julie is a mess over there as well.
I
Yes,
have to say that I'm a mess too, and
yeah,
I'm in the middle of all of this. So yeah, it's pretty amazing, right?
it's
Yeah.
totally amazing.
I want to
And
say, I
it's,
want to, yeah.
go ahead, Amy.
Well, I just wanted to thank Salem and Grayson for sharing so much in depth and just being really vulnerable tonight, because I have tears, and I'm just so grateful that you're here, and to have this relationship and your participation. It's very meaningful to me, to to everyone. You've touched a lot of people.
A lot of people, a lot. And I have a beautiful gay son who lives in LA, and he has surrounded himself with a posse, a family of gender fluid people that are helping him. He's a gay country music star, so it's kind of like out of the genre. And as a matter of fact, tonight he's doing a karaoke night with all of his buddies out there. So anyway, my heart is just completely open, and I hope the whole world's heart is open to all of you, really. Did anyone have any questions, or would anything else you would like to say to these beautiful people before we? Jules, what are you up to? Yes.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you to all of you for sharing all this. But also, I wanted to ask about how has Corning? I mean, they're supporting you overall on this, but I mean, how is the city? Is the tourism like sharing this? I mean, how are they responding to the murals and topics that are not necessarily
Right, the contents.
yeah, the content of it? Anybody can answer.
Okay, I think I have a slightly different, I'm going to answer a slightly different question.
Okay.
That's okay. What I did want to say that was so special about this project as well was the way in which the community and the people within the Marconi Lodge like gathered around the youth of the community and like cared for the youth of the community, and that intergenerational support was like that felt really profound and really unique to Corning. I think with like that's what can
Yeah.
happen in small communities versus some
Right.
of these larger communities.
Exactly.
And it was profound. I mean, and you're so exhausted when you're painting, it's like hard to even like after you're like, what just happened? Like a week later, you're processing a lot of it because you're so in the midst of it with this deadline and you're going. But like that hard work, I think, can also be recognized by a lot of people that may not even like understand art, but they understand the passion, they understand community, they understand the need for elevating youth voices and taking care of the youth of the community. And so like we were fed every meal, they made Shirley temples for all the kids, at one point, some of the bartenders camped out overnight to make sure no one messed with the mural before we like put a final sealer on it. I mean, there was a lot of ownership over the mural. And I think that was like, yeah, I'm still kind of processing that experience. It was really, really beautiful.
I think it speaks to what Amy said earlier about you got to have a lot of patience for this because, I'm old and I've been at this a long time, and my community is so white and so soft and so, like this is going to be hard. They won't even put people on their murals, and 4 is too many, and it's got to be flowers. Anyway.
All you need is one business owner or one wall of one building to start something. And then it's like, once you get that ball rolling, it becomes so much easier, but it's always hard to try and get that one because people don't quite understand the impact it will have. And then once they see it, I think there's a lot more desire for it to have happened. So it's just getting the ball rolling. So it's not about changing the whole city. It's just finding that one thing, get that one wall.
That's so good that you said that because, I I hang out at the corner office as much as I can to try to get shit done. And if it's on a public building, you got to go through a whole set of hoops. But if it's a private building, thank you for reminding us, you get to have the owner say yes, and you got a yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Yeah, and I'll share that we're still very much connected with the Marconi Lodge. I'm still in a very close fit, and Charlie Bach Corning Farmers Market, or indoor market, that is now, is at the Marconi Lodge, so people are seeing the mural. So it is, it's ongoing, and it was a very special year, as Sarah said. I mean, just overwhelming. I think this year was just an overwhelming and outpouring of support from this community, this intergenerational community. It was amazing as I reflect back on it. And also, like, our first mural did take 2 years to approve, and it's different every year. But now, once you get several, then people might start approaching you. Hey, can we have a mural? But it does just take that one relationship to get started, and slowly you're starting to build that network.
Yeah.
So that's what's important.
Well, maybe you would.
I'm sorry.
Yes, please, David.
Well, I just wanted to add, you talk about the cross-generational support. Corning, like any small city, is not free from graffiti, but not one of our murals over the past 15 years has ever had graffiti painted on it. So even the youth in the community, and maybe it's because of our population too, that, they've been disaffected, disconnected. So maybe that's recognized by a potential would-be vandalizer, but they leave the murals alone.
Yeah. Well, we are ending. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to say, my name is Maria Goldwyn. I'm an art teacher.
Hi, Maria.
Hey, guys. And I am also a parent. 2 of my students were at the High School Learning Center, have graduated. I have self-proclaimed myself as the High School Learning Center's biggest fan. And working in different ways when I get a chance with some of the kids has been outstanding opportunities. Mainly Salem, I just wanted to let you know, and I think Charlie got a chance to talk to you, but in case he didn't, I just wanted to make sure you knew this, that when Charlie was talking about, when Amy first they were first discussing the idea of the project at the lodge, Charlie's first idea was a hero, and he was automatically thinking of different military services. But then he thought, well, you can't have one represented without the other. We can't focus on the Army or the Navy. And then he goes, I don't even know why I'm doing all this. This is up to the kids. This is their choice. And he actually has, I've worked with him, but I also have taught his granddaughter, and he's very active. He's raising his granddaughter. He's very active in her life and in the community. And he's been going through cancer. And so with the saying that you will get through this, each time he came back from a chemo treatment, Salem, he said, I would look at that, and it helped me get through each treatment and the after effects. So I don't know if he had a chance to tell you that. It was a little bit busy the night of the opening. A lot of people wanted to talk to you and talk to all the other students, but I just am a huge fan of the High School Learning Center, what they do with the Rockwell, the art that is involved in the kids' life, and the way they can communicate. And on a personal level, Dave and the rest of the teachers at the High School Learning Center helped my 2 children, my older 2 children, get through school in a way that I cannot ever thank them enough. So I just wanted to share that.
And I totally relate to that, Maria, because our son barely made it, and there was nothing like that around here for him. We had to go far, far away and go through a million different hoops to try to get to the end, because it just so well. Before we are ending early because we got it all done, but would you be willing to be mentors for us? Could we touch base back with you in the future and just ask your advice as we go along? I know the answer is yes, so I accept. And what a privilege and an honor it has been. Amy, thank you so much for allowing this to happen and being, really the force behind getting the pieces here for us. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure.
I
And I
just-
just want to acknowledge really quickly that another of our artists and the heroes among us just came in, Terry Rooney. And of course, Linda Collisberg is here too. So Martha, yes.
I just want to say that this session has been recorded and I will load it up on YouTube on the Peg Center YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and search for the Peg Center and you'll find it. I'll get it up there sometime tomorrow. And I don't think anybody else said it, but the mural I saw was absolutely beautiful. And I really was moved by it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really, you've left us in a real puddle here. So
I know. I know. Well, I also want to say that, our whole theme was heroes among us. And yeah, we can all be heroes, and that was the thing is, the world gets pretty dark at times and we're all just trying to muddle through and with our own issues, with other issues. And so I was just really happy to see that the youth are succeeding and owning it and moving forward.
we need you. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I want to
Well,
share one more thing, if that's
please,
okay.
please. Yes.
We have right now an exhibition up, Alley Art Project Beyond the Walls, and it's celebrating the 15th anniversary of the program. So we've pulled museum objects that have inspired murals, and we've displayed the object, and we have a photo print of each mural, including this 15th one, up in our museum right now, and that is on view through January 14th. And I know many of you are local, and I see my colleague Mary on the call, so thanks for coming, and Sophie, student intern, also mural painter. So that's on view. If anybody out in Massachusetts ventures out to Corning, please reach out. We do have a community reception November 29th, but if you're just coming through town, I'd be happy to stop by the museum and show you around. So I just wanted to share that's on view right now, and we're really proud of it. And I also want to thank everyone for coming.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to you all. Have a good holiday, I hope. So, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.